Similar figures. All right, so I'm gonna highlight maybe use color. So this side corresponds to this side, obviously, and in red I'm going to put that side with this corresponding side. We can use set up proportion once we, once we know the corresponding side. So we're gonna go, unless, and I guess this, I don't know, just to differentiate both triangles. So on the new triangle, we're going to write the ratio of that side, and that matches with the corresponding side on the smaller triangle, which is 8. That's supposed to be equal to the ratio of 18, that side with x. Now you can do this, like I said, several different ways. If it helps to simplify, in this case it won't, because you can get 7 over 4, and that's not going to work, so you might as well just cross multiply here. And you're going to get 14x equals 64 goes 6, 144, and then obviously divide both sides by 14, and you get our missing side is 10 units. Okay. This one, well, again in blue, I'm going to match the corresponding side. This side matches with this side, and this side corresponds to this side. And again, we're going to set up a proportion again. I'm going to set up a proportion for all these. So 5 is, let me use the right color. So 5, that's, somebody's not on point. So 5 is just 3, right? The ratio of that side, which is the corresponding side, which is a 3. And on the other side, 2.5 on, I guess we can call this new and this called old, right? So the 2.5 corresponds with this side, which in this case is our unknown. This one is pretty, actually you didn't have to use a proportion, but this one, how we're going this way. So how does the 5 become a 2? It's just divided by 2.5 is just divided by 2. I'll just keep it consistent. 5x, 3 times 2.5 is 7.5. Divide that by 5, and 7.5 divided by 5, x equals 1.5. Okay, so that's the measurement of our missing side. Okay, so as you can tell, nothing crazy. Uh-oh. Okay, so let me move this up so we can do 4 at a time. So, okay, so I'm just going to speed up things. So now again, you got to be really careful, right? So the corresponding sides is the 2 and the 5 are corresponding sides, and obviously the x corresponds with that side. So setting up a proportion, we're going to go 2 to 5, right? This one was this one, and then which is equal to the proportion of x to 11.5. And then again, cross multiply, get 5x equals 23. Divide both sides by 5, and x equals 23 divided by 5, which is 4.6. And that's the measurement. So sometimes, not sometimes, the answer is not as obvious. So again, let's match the sides. The corresponding sides is this one. So you know what I'm going to use? That's okay. This one with this one corresponds, and change colors. Trying to be lazy. These two are the corresponding sides. So new, old. So let's go the blues. Let's do the blues first. So 10 and 6, the ratio of 10 and 6 should be the same as the ratio of x to, what number is that? 7. We get 6x equals 70, and x equals going to be, and that's going to be a decimal, a non-terminating decimal divided by 6. Yeah, 11.6 bar notation units. Okay. Again, this one and this one are corresponding, and you'll notice that there's a slight increase, right? All right, so let's call this new, let's call this old. So the corresponding sides, we're going to go with 3.9 corresponds to 4.2. So those two the ratio of those two measurements should be the same thing as the ratio of 4.1 to whatever x is. So 3.9x. 4.2 times 4.1 is 17.22. Divide both sides by 3.9. Oops. Divide both sides by 3.9, and we get the magical number of, and again, I'm going to, what do you call? Forgetting what the and we're going to round it to 4.42. It's 4.4153, etc. But we're not going to go that far, so just round it up to 4.42. Okay. It's trapezoid. Yes, and again we got so many choices. So corresponding sides, this corresponds with this, and this I'm going to use blue now. Corresponds with blue, and let me change to use green. So green is the one that we're going to use a lot. Okay, so green. That should be green. Okay, so let's start with, and let's write all our. So 12 is to x, right? Ratio of those two should be equal to the ratio of 4 to y, which should be equal to the ratio of 63. Okay, so you can pick any two. So let's say you want to find y. Obviously, we're going to use this proportion. And then if you wanted to find x, after you find y, you could have used this proportion, that proportion, or the 12x and the 6 over 3, whichever one you want. So let's start with this one. All right, so for cross multiply, we get 6y equals 12. Divide both sides by 6, and y equals 2. So I'm going to come over here and take the y out and put the number 2, because I know what y is. Now, like I said, you have a choice. You can use these two, or you can use this one and this one. It's up to you. Okay, so let's choose the ones that are next to each other. So 12 over x equals 4 over 2, and we get 4x equals 24, and x obviously is 6. Okay, so again, you can tell that this is pretty straightforward. Next. Okay, so this one, I urge you to separate the triangles. Okay, so it makes it much easier. So we have one small triangle, and in that small triangle, this is 16 and this is W. And then we have the larger triangle. And the larger triangle, the height here, oops, really ugly triangle. The height here is 12, and the base here is 16 plus 4, right? Because this, but that makes it 20. So we're going to, and again, this corresponds with this, and the blue, I'm going to change it, and this W, that side of that triangle corresponds to that. And you can set up your proportion. So let's go W to 12. The ratio of those two should be equal to the ratio of 16 to 20, right? Cross multiply, 20W. 12 times 16 is 192. I'm going to divide both sides by 20, and W equals 9.6. Okay, and that's the height of that small triangle. Okay, so this one again, the most difficult part, I always think, it's to find the corresponding side. So this, use colors if you can. This is this. Those two sides are corresponding. This side corresponds to this side, and I'm going to use green for the last two corresponding, and that corresponds to that. So let's set our proportion. So just, again, new and old, doesn't matter what you call them. Let's say 6, right? The 6 and k. The ratio of those two sides should equal the ratio of, let's do 3.8 and j. And I should use small j, which also should be equal to the ratio of 4 to 10. So again, this is almost like 3 questions ago. Okay, so let's start with these two. You can use this proportion here. Let's find j first. So if we do that, we get 4j equals 38. And we're going to divide both sides by 4, and j equals, I have no idea, 9.5. So again, I'm going to come over here, take the j out, put 9.5. Now we got to find k, so you can use either these two, 6k, 3.8, 9.5, or 6k and 4 and 10. I'm going to use 6k, 4 and 10, because there are no decimals. So 4 times k is 4k. 10 and 6 is 60. Divide both sides by 4, and k equals 50. Okay. I forgot to do this last night. Okay, same thing. No, let me just raise it just a little higher. Where are we? No, no, no. Right there. Okay, so again, please separate. Right, so we have a small triangle. This is 4, this is 6, and then we have a bigger triangle. And that's 7. And the height here is, we're going to call that 6 plus b. Okay, so the corresponding sides, down in blue, the 7 and the 4 corresponds. And then in green, it's 6, the height of the small triangle, and the height of the bigger triangle, which is 6 plus b. And we want to find what b is. This one, so again, let's call this new, let's call this O. So that's our proportion. So the proportion will look like 6 over 6 plus b. So the ratio of those two sides should match the ratio of 4 over 7. Not a big deal. Multiply 6 and 7 is 42. And over here, when you multiply, I'm going to just write it out. It's 4 times the sum of 6 plus b. So you're going to have to do the distributive property. So again, 6 and 7 we already took care of. That's 42. And this is 4 times 6, which is 24, and 4 plus b, which is 4b. Let's subtract 24 from both sides. 4b, cross over, that's 18. And divide both sides by 4. B equals, what's that? 18 divided by 4, 4.5. So B, this part right here, is 4.5. Okay, that was simple. Okay, so we have a quadrilateral. So let's see if we can match the matching side. So this I'll put in blue is corresponding to this side. And then let's pick green over here. That corresponds to that side. Sorry, that was red. And then this corresponds to, oops, hang on a second. Yeah, that corresponds. And green, these two corresponds. But I'm not interested in, the green one I don't really have to use. So I'm gonna use, so let's call this new and this is the old one. So here's my ratio. So x, right, the x here corresponds to 15 over the ratio of this 35 here, which is corresponding, the side is 25. There you go. You can simplify this. So let me show you. If I simplify this, this becomes 7 over 5, right? And you can easily tell that x is going to be 23. So because how does a 5 become 15? It's times 3, so you would do the same thing on top and you get 21. But let's just skip this consistency. For 5x, we're going to cross multiply, equals 85, right? No, 105, sorry. Divide both sides by 5, x equals 21. All right, now I so much love when they give me that. So given triangle LKJ similar to triangle LEF. So when I have that, it's so much easier to find out who corresponds with who. So LK, right, the first two letters here, LK, matches with LE. So I'm going to put red over here. So those two sides match. Okay, just put a line here. And then what do we have here? LF. Now the corner letters. Let's call this LJ, for example, L to J, which is this. Change colors, right? So if you look at here, the LJ will correspond with the two letters at the end, so LF. Okay, and that's all we need. So put an N here for new and put an N O there for old. So 24 corresponds with 40, so that ratio should be equal to the ratio of N over 50, right? Do you want to simplify here? You can. It would make life much easier. So let's divide this by 4. We get 6, and we get here 10, right? And then how does a 10 become 50? Times 5, and here times 5, and you would get that n equals 30. Right, so we already have that. So that's one way of doing it. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. Let's just, because we've been doing that. So 40 times n is 40n. Okay, 24 times 50 is 1,200. Divide that by 40, divide that by 40, n equals 30. Okay. Again, split the triangles up. So we have a triangle BDE, and this is 8, and this is x, the small triangle on the bigger triangle. That's 18, and the height is the sum of 16 and 8, which is 24. So it's so easy to do it that way, much easier to do it that way. So those two are corresponding, and these two are corresponding. So you can see it's a factor of 3 from small to big, or from big to small. We're going to divide by 3. So, but let's set up our proportions anyway. So 8 and 24, and x equals and x over 18. Cross multiply. We get 24x equals 144. Divide both sides by 24, and x should be 6. All right? Yeah, x equals 6. All right, so that is 6 over there. Okay, again, nothing. So a little different. So here we have our small triangle again. This is 6 and 9. And on the bigger, larger triangle, that's 12. And this whole side here, okay, it's actually 4x minus 5 plus 9, which if we simplify that becomes 4x plus 4. Okay, that simplifies to that. So our corresponding sides are 6 with 12, and then in green is 9, corresponds with 4x plus 4. Again, so 6 and 12, ratio of those two is equal to the ratio of 9 and 4x plus 4. So just like a previous problem, you had to do this, what do you call the distributed property. You're going to likewise do it here. So 12 times 9 is 108. And if you did the distributed property here, we get 24x plus 24, right? 6 times 4x is 24x, and 6 times 4 is 24. We're going to get rid of the 24, minus 24 on both sides. That goes away. 24x equals 84, sorry. And divide both sides by 24. Divide both sides by 24, and x equals 3.5. Okay, and the value of x equals 3.5. So if you actually want to substitute, so we get 4 times 3.5 minus 5. Okay, oops, when did I do that? Sorry, no. 4 times 3.5 minus 5, which is 14 minus 5, and 14 minus 5 is 9. So this little piece here is, there's something wrong here. Well, unless they're not, the picture is not to scale, but that the answer is 9. Did I do something wrong? 6 and 12, 9 and 4x minus 5. Right, so the sum is 4x plus 4. That's okay. 108, 24. I guess the picture is just not to scale at all. 4, 10 minus 2 is 8, 24. 3.5. Yeah, it's 14. And 14 minus 5 is 9. So yeah, I guess the picture is just not to scale. So if that's 9, the whole thing, the whole big side would be 9 plus 9, which is 18. Which sort of makes sense, actually, because it's times 2, right? So, medium. A 6 foot tall man. So here's a man. He's 6 foot tall. I'm going to put it like this. He has a shadow. It's 4 feet. Okay. And then if a nearby building has a 50 foot shadow. So there's a nearby building, and the shadow is 54. We want this height. We'll call that h of that building. Okay. This is obviously not to scale, guys. Not to scale. Not to scale. Okay. So it's just a drawing. All right. Oh. Let me draw it again. So here's a shadow. Here's the height of the building, which I don't know. So again, we can use similar. Right? Similarity, I'm sorry. But these two are similar. So let's write the proportion. And we're going to go, and we got new, old. The height of the building and the height of the men, the ratio of those two should equal to the ratio of the shadow of the building is the shadow of the man. Cross multiply, you get 6h. Again, we could have simplified. It does make life so much easier to simplify. So, you know what? Why don't we simplify? Because the idea is to make life easier, right? So we're going to get 1 over 9. So h equals 54. Oops. Give me a second. 9 times 6, 54. Yeah, so it's... something's not right here. Let me just redo this. So h over 6. Oh, 4. Oh, that's... So 54 over 4. I'm sorry. We can still simplify. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. 27. So it's a times 3 relationship. So we're going to multiply 27 times 3, right, which is 81. Or we can, again, just keep it consistent with what we're doing. We get 2h equals 162. And divide both sides by 2, h equals 81. And we already knew that. Okay. Okay, so, last two problems, great. Okay, an architect builds a building that will be 24 feet and 40 feet wide. So the building, it will be, here's the building, 24 feet and 40 feet wide. Again, up to scale. She makes a scale model that is 18 inches long. So the 24 feet. This is the length, long, and 40 feet wide. So let me just write that. So when I make my scale, which is a smaller version of that, the length is going to be 18 inches long. Inches long. And we want to know how wide it is, so what this is going to be. So problem here is that everything is in feet on this side, and this one is in inches. So what I'm going to do is change the 24 feet into inches. The 24 feet, if you multiply that by 12, the same thing as 288 inches long. And 40 feet times 12 is 480 wide. So 480 inches wide. So we can find the width of the scale model. So again, this corresponds with this, and in green, this corresponds with that. So new, old, my proportion is going to go. So let's start with the length here. So 18, the ratio of 18 of the scale model and 288 in the real life should be equal to the width of the scale model, which is x, and in real life it's 480 inches. Cross multiply, we get 288 equals 18 times 480. That gives us 8,640. I forgot x over here. We're going to divide both sides by 288. And x equals, divided by 288, x equals 30. So on the scale model, this is going to be 30 inches. Okay. Last question. What's the length of HJ? So HJ is this length here. And that corresponds with this. Okay, so let's call this new and old right away. And then this corresponds with this. So 40, the ratio of 40 and 18 of the other rectangle should be equal to the ratio of the 27, which is that side, which corresponds to the unknown side here, and we'll just call that x. All right, so cross multiply 40x, 18 times 27 equals 486. 486, divide both sides by 40. X equals, divide both sides by 40, x equals 12.15. What is this? Here, 12.15. You know what? I know I didn't ask you for this particular homework to upload it to Google Classroom, but I will from now on. Okay, so there is that part 1 of your homework.